The rise and fall of the Ottoman Empire, the birth of an empire. In the late 13th century, a small state formed by Turkish tribes under the leadership of Osman the Resurd emerged in the region now known as Turkey. The exact origins of Osman are somewhat shrouded in legend, but historical records suggest that he was a charismatic leader with a vision for his people's future. This modest beginning marked the birth of the Ottoman Empire, which would grow to become one of the most powerful states in the world during its time. The Age of Conquest, 1299 to 1453. In the dawning years of the 14th century, a determined leader named Osman founded a state that was poised on the edge of greatness. From humble beginnings in the rugged landscapes of Anatolia, Osman embarked on a bold mission to expand his dominion. The land around him was fragmented, ruled by Byzantine governors, weakened by internal strife and external threats. Osman, with his band of loyal followers, began seizing territories, leveraging both military prowess and strategic marriages to fortify his position. As Osman's territory grew, so did his reputation. Tales of his courage and wisdom drew warriors from far and wide, eager to join his ranks. Each conquest brought more land under Osman's control, and with each victory, the foundations of what would become a vast empire grew ever stronger. Battle of Baphius, 1302. The true test of Osman's leadership came at the Battle of Baphius in 1302. Here, Osman faced a significant Byzantine force determined to halt the steady encroachment of his expanding realm. The battle was fierce, with both sides experiencing the brutal realities of medieval warfare. Osman, employing a mix of traditional Turkic cavalry tactics and clever feints, managed to overwhelm the Byzantine troops. This victory was not just a military triumph, but a declaration to the world. The Ottomans were here to stay, and their military prowess was not to be underestimated. Murad IV and the First Standing Army. As the empire expanded, the need for a structured military system became apparent. Enter Murad Thani, Osman's successor, who took the throne with visions of a grand empire that spanned continents. Murad established the Janissaries, an elite infantry unit recruited from the ranks of captured Christian youths. Converted to Islam and trained as soldiers from a young age, these men were fiercely loyal to the Sultan and formed the backbone of the Ottoman military. The Janissaries were more than just soldiers. They were a symbol of the empire's might and the Sultan's absolute power. Under Murad's command, this formidable force became the terror of Europe and the envy of other nations. Conquest of the Balkans. The ambition of the Ottomans under Murad I reached beyond the borders of Anatolia. The Balkans, a region of strategic importance and diverse cultures, became the new frontier for expansion. With the disciplined Janissaries at the forefront, the Ottomans swept through the Balkans. Fortresses fell and cities capitulated as Murad's forces conquered vast territories, including the important realms of Bulgaria and Serbia. These conquests were not merely military campaigns, but also a fusion of cultures and ideas. The Ottomans allowed religious freedom under their rule, a pragmatic approach that eased the integration of conquered peoples. The Sultan's court in Edirne, Adrianople, became a center of cultural and intellectual exchange where scholars, poets, and artists from different parts of the world gathered. As the 15th century approached, the Ottoman Empire had grown from a small principality into a formidable power, feared and respected across the known world. This period of conquest set the stage for what would become an empire that straddled 3 continents, forever altering the course of history. The Age of Conquest had firmly established the Ottomans on the world stage, setting the foundation for centuries of influence and interaction across Europe, Asia, and Africa. The peak of power, 1453 to 1566, the fall of Constantinople, 1453. The mid-15th century heralded a defining moment for the burgeoning Ottoman Empire under the ambitious Sultan Mehmed II, Nurzi II, famously known as the Conqueror. Mehmed set his sights on a jewel that many had deemed impregnable: Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. The city had withstood countless sieges over a millennium, its formidable walls a testament to Byzantine engineering. Mehmed's preparations were meticulous and massive. He commissioned the casting of gigantic cannons, one of which, named Basilica, could hurl a 600-pound stone ball over a mile. In April 1453, Mehmed laid siege to Constantinople with a force of over 100,000 men encircling the city by land and sea. After weeks of relentless bombardment and clever tactics, including dragging his fleet overland around the Golden Horn to bypass the chain-blocking naval entry, Constantinople's defenses began to falter. On May 29, 1453, the walls were breached. The Ottomans poured into the city, and within hours, Constantinople was under Mehmed's control. The fall of this great city marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and a pivotal reshaping of the Christian and Muslim worlds. Constantinople was renamed Istanbul and became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire, a symbol of Islamic power and Mehmed's triumph. Suleiman the Magnificent, 1520 to 1566. Decades after Mehmed's conquests, another ruler ascended to the Ottoman throne and pushed the empire to the zenith of its power. Sultan Suleiman I Ifo, known as the Magnificent, was a ruler of profound ambition and vision. His reign from 1520 to 1566 was marked by vast territorial expansion, significant cultural achievements, and a robust centralized authority. Suleiman's military campaigns were legendary. He expanded the empire's frontiers to the gates of Vienna in the northwest and the shores of the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf in the southeast. His naval fleets challenged and often dominated the Mediterranean, contending with the naval powers of Venice and the Habsburgs of Spain. Laws of Suleiman and the Ottoman legal system. Suleiman's achievements were not only military but also administrative and legal. Known as Kanuni, or the lawgiver, he implemented major judicial reforms that helped manage and integrate the empire's vast and culturally diverse territories. Suleiman codified Ottoman laws that had previously been a mixture of local customs and Islamic legal principles, creating a unified legal framework. These laws covered criminal and civil issues, taxation, land tenure, and the rights of Christians and Jews within the empire. This legal codification facilitated more systematic governance and helped curb corruption by limiting the powers of provincial governors. The Sultan's courts, known as Divan, were organized under these laws, and justice was administered in a more equitable manner, which bolstered the legitimacy of Ottoman rule and contributed to the stability of the empire. The period from 1453 to 1566 was truly the peak of Ottoman power, a golden age where the empire not only expanded its physical borders, but also its influence in art, science, and governance. Under leaders like Mehmed II and Suleiman the Magnificent, the Ottoman Empire emerged as a pivotal player in the global stage, shaping the politics and culture of the region for centuries to come. Stagnation and reform. 1566 to 1827. The period of stagnation. The death of Suleiman the Magnificent in 1566 marked the beginning of a challenging era for the Ottoman Empire. As the vast empire continued to stretch across 3 continents, its ability to manage such extensive territories began to wane. The sultans who followed Suleiman lacked his visionary leadership and often succumbed to the comfort of palace life, distancing themselves from the complexities of governance and military command. During this period, known as the period of stagnation, the Ottoman Empire faced significant internal strife and territorial losses. The once formidable Ottoman military found itself increasingly outpaced by European powers who were undergoing the Renaissance and the early stages of the Industrial Revolution. Technological advancements in military tactics and weaponry in Europe contrasted sharply with the Ottomans' reliance on outdated methods and equipment, leading to a series of military defeats and the loss of territories on the fringes of the empire. The Tulip Era, 1718 to 1730. In the early 18th century, a brief respite from the challenges of stagnation emerged during the reign of Sultan Ahmed III. This period, known as the Tulip Era, was characterized by peace and a renewed interest in arts and culture influenced heavily by European luxury and ideas. Istanbul blossomed both literally and figuratively, with an enthusiasm for tulips reflecting broader cultural imports from Europe, from architecture to clothing. During these years, the Ottoman elite indulged in lavish parties and tulip gardens, and the empire saw the first printing press established, albeit under strict controls. The era also marked a significant engagement with European art and science, leading to reforms in infrastructure, such as the introduction of modern water systems in Istanbul, influenced by European models. Reforms and modernization efforts. Despite the cultural flourishing of the Tulip Era, the fundamental problems of military and administrative inefficiency persisted. Recognizing the urgent need for comprehensive reform, successive sultans in the late 18th and early 19th centuries embarked on ambitious programs to modernize the empire. Sultan Selim III, who came to power in 1789, was particularly proactive. He initiated a series of reforms known as the Nizam-i Saidid, New Order, which focused on completely overhauling the military. This included the establishment of new military units equipped and trained in the style of European armies. Selim's reforms extended to administrative restructuring aimed at reducing the corruption that had plagued the empire. However, Selim III's reforms faced fierce resistance from the Janissaries, the elite corps who felt threatened by the changes. Their revolt ultimately led to Selim's deposition and assassination. The struggle for modernization did not end with Selim. His successors, most notably Mahmud II, continued the reform efforts. Mahmud II successfully abolished the Janissary Corps in 1826 in a decisive action known as the Auspicious Incident, paving the way for more profound transformations. Under Mahmud II, further reforms were implemented, including the modernization of the administration and the continuation of military restructuring, setting the stage for the Tanzimat period of reform in the mid-19th century. These efforts were aimed at revitalizing the Ottoman Empire, seeking to recapture the lost glory and prestige of Suleiman's era through adaptation and reform. This chapter in Ottoman history, spanning over 2 centuries, reflects a complex interplay between decline and rejuvenation, where the empire grappled with its past strengths and present vulnerabilities, striving to forge a path forward amidst the changing dynamics of a rapidly modernizing world. The Decline, 1828 to 1922. Greek War of Independence, 1821 to 1829. The early 19th century brought with it the winds of change and nationalism that swept across Europe, reaching the territories under Ottoman control. The Greek War of Independence, which erupted in 1821, was a seminal event that marked the beginning of the end for Ottoman dominion in Europe. Inspired by the Enlightenment and the successful revolution of the Americans for independence, the Greeks rose against the centuries of Ottoman rule. The struggle was intense and bloody, marked by fierce guerrilla warfare and significant naval battles. Despite the Ottomans' efforts to suppress the rebellion, they were hampered by internal strife and a lack of resources. The intervention by the great powers of Britain, France, and Russia through the Battle of Navarino in 1827 sealed the fate of the conflict, leading to the recognition of Greek independence in the Treaty of Constantinople in 1829. This loss was a significant blow to the Ottomans' prestige and control in Europe, encouraging other subject nations to seek their own paths to sovereignty. The Crimean War, 1853 to 1856. The middle of the 19th century presented the Ottoman Empire with a new challenge in the form of the Crimean War. The empire found itself an ally of Britain and France against Russia in a conflict largely fought on the Crimean Peninsula. This war was emblematic of the Great Game, the strategic rivalry and conflict between the British Empire and the Russian Empire for supremacy in Central Asia. The war demonstrated the Ottoman Empire's military vulnerabilities despite the alliance with Western powers. Although the Ottomans and their allies achieved a tactical victory, the war exposed the empire's weakening grip and further depleted its treasury. The high cost of the war and the reliance on European powers exacerbated the decline in Ottoman sovereignty and independence. The Balkan Wars, 1912 to 1913. The Balkan Wars, occurring in rapid succession in 1912 and 1913, were perhaps the most definitive signal of the Ottoman Empire's faltering grip on its European territories. The combined forces of the Balkan League, consisting of Bulgaria, Greece, Serbia, and Montenegro, aimed to seize territories from the Ottomans. The Ottomans, weakened by years of decline and internal corruption, were ill-prepared for the intensity of the conflict. The result was disastrous for the empire, as it lost almost all of its European territories. The city of Edirne, Adrianople, and the region of Macedonia were among the significant losses that dramatically shrank the empire's European presence. The Balkan Wars left the Ottoman Empire not only territorially diminished, but also demoralized and financially bankrupt. World War I and the fall. The final chapter in the story of the Ottoman Empire began with its entry into World War I on the side of the Central Powers in 1914. This decision, driven by a complex web of alliances and promises of regained territories, plunged the empire into a global conflict that it was ill-prepared to handle. The Ottomans faced multiple defeats on various fronts, most notably at the hands of the British-supported Arab Revolt, which was ignited by the Sheriff of Mecca and led by figures such as T.E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia. The aftermath of World War I was catastrophic for the Ottoman Empire. The 1918 armistice left the empire dissected by the victorious Allied powers, leading to the occupation of its capital, Istanbul, and other key regions. The Treaty of Sèvres in 1920, which proposed the partitioning of the Ottoman Empire, was a death blow, signaling the formal end of the empire and the emergence of the modern nation-states from its ashes. The legacy and transition to the Republic, 1922 present, the foundation of modern Turkey. The curtains closed on the Ottoman Empire, not with a whimper, but with a revolutionary transformation led by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, a visionary leader and a former Ottoman military officer. In the aftermath of World War I and the subsequent Treaty of Sèvres, which dismembered the Ottoman Empire, Ataturk emerged as the leader of the Turkish national movement. He ignited the flames of the Turkish War of Independence, rallying the remnants of the defeated Ottoman military and the Turkish populace against the occupying Allied forces and the decrepit Ottoman government. From 1919 to 1922, Ataturk led a series of military campaigns and diplomatic maneuvers, culminating in the decisive Battle of Dumlupınar in 1922, which sealed the victory for Turkish forces. This war of liberation was not just a military struggle, but a profound statement of national identity and sovereignty. Abolition of the Sultanate, 1922. The culmination of the Turkish War of Independence saw the abolition of the Sultanate on November 1st, 1922. This act officially dissolved the Ottoman Empire, severing 600 years of monarchical rule and paving the way for the establishment of a secular, democratic republic. This momentous decision was ratified by the newly formed Turkish Grand National Assembly, marking a radical shift in governance and setting the stage for the formal proclamation of the Republic of Turkey on October 29, 1923. Reforms and modernization. Ataturk's vision for Turkey extended far beyond mere political restructuring. He embarked on a comprehensive program of cultural and legal reforms that fundamentally transformed Turkish society. Ataturk's reforms were aimed at severing the ties with the Ottoman past and reorienting Turkey towards the West. This was symbolically represented in the adoption of the Latin alphabet in 1928, replacing the Arabic script, which made education more accessible to the masses and facilitated communication with the Western world. In the legal domain, Ataturk abolished Islamic courts and replaced Sharia law with a legal system based on the Swiss Civil Code, the Italian Penal Code, and the German Commercial Code. This secular legal framework redefined civil rights and obligations, moving away from religious norms to a system based on universal principles of law. Perhaps one of the most revolutionary aspects of Ataturk's reforms was the emphasis on women's rights. Women were granted the right to vote and stand for election in 1934, a radical change that promoted gender equality and women's participation in the political and social life of the country. The Ottoman Empire spanned more than 6 centuries, leaving a profound influence on the Middle East, Europe, and beyond. Its legacy is visible in today's cultural, legal, and political landscapes across several nations. The story of the Ottomans is not just one of power and conquest, but also of integration, innovation, and transformation. This historical giant may have fallen, but its echoes are still felt in the modern world. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you found these stories as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button and turn on notifications to catch more incredible stories from history and beyond.